You're listening to the Churros y Tácticas Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Churros y Tácticas Podcast. This is your host, Kiyan Sobhani. We're recording on a Tuesday, a bit of an anomaly, a bit delayed, so sorry to all of you who are expecting this on your Monday commutes. The plus side is that we actually have the entire La Liga round of fixtures finished because the Monday night game is finished, even though it was boring and really didn't matter at all.
That's why we recorded a day late.
Yeah, and because we're probably not even going to talk about it anyway, and maybe mention it for 5 seconds, if that. But Diego, sorry, I should introduce my co-host. My very much adored and beloved and very much liked universally, Diego Lorijn, Barça Blaugranes and D-Spot. Welcome to the show, as always, Diego.
Thank you, Kiyan. Thank you. I don't know about adored and beloved. I just got a little bit of Twitter hate thrown at me, so that might be taking a turn. People are screaming at the Barça Blaugranes platform saying, why do you have this clown D-Spot doing your live streams? You should have this other kid who does Barça videos doing it instead.
Well, you mentioned to me on WhatsApp that you had your most retweeted tweet just this weekend.
Well, listen, man.
And
I want to thank you. I need to thank you for that, for sure. Yeah.
I gave you an assist. I'm your wingman.
That was, you were Iniesta and you were Jordi Alba and I was Messi, just putting that one in. Beautiful assist, beautiful alley-oop for my most successful tweet today. It got, I don't know how many retweets and likes, and it was all thanks to Kiyan because you put an innocent tweet out there going something along the lines of, why does the Camp Nou only get out, or why can't the Camp Nou get out anybody for a semi-final match against Valencia, the Copa del Rey final, eh?
It's crazy that so many people took it personally, as if like I'm attacking Barca. It was an observation. The stadium's empty. What do you want me to do? Like,
well,
are we completely blind? Did we not see? Like, am I breaking some news here? Like,
none of your
don't agree
concern,
with my opinion. It's not even an opinion. It's an observation. This literally happened. It's a real thing. And by the way, it's like it wasn't even unique to. I mean, Espanyol didn't get anybody out for the Catalan derby. My God.
But you know what it is.
Good turnout against Depor. There you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how big is their stadium again?
Yeah,
but
true.
You know what it is? I think in the end it was 60 plus, near in the 70,000 in attendance. But what happens when it rains in Spain and when it rains in Barcelona is that people shy away from the rain. But not only that, it's, you know how I forgot. Have you been in the Camp Nou or not? You said you have, right?
Only outside of it, not inside.
Oh, okay. Well, on the inside, you'll notice that the tribuna, the way the seats are basically, or the stands are set up, is that half of the seats are covered by the people sitting one level higher, right? So what they do when it rains is that everybody kind of crowds into the seats that are covered. So it looks like nobody is actually at the game. And as soon as it stops raining, people then rush forward to sit closer or nearer to the field, so to say. So that's, I mean, what you said was partially correct, because it is true that you're not the first one to notice that the Camp Nou has had a record low in terms of seats being filled this season, and a lot has to do with, or at least what the club and officials are saying, is that the fact that Catalonia has seen a dip in tourism because of all the political unrest and stuff. I think that's one reason. Another reason is, Spain's ticket prices are the highest in Europe, which is a very ironic, bizarre situation, given the fact that Spain also has the lowest average salaries in Europe, or one of the lowest average salaries.
Are we talking about stadium ticket prices?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And it's also true that when it rains and it's late at, kickoff is at 9:30 on a weekday, on a weeknight, it's hard to get people out when the weather is not right. So
I don't understand why everyone just doesn't copy Getafe and just lower the ticket prices. Isn't it better just fill the stadium?
Yeah, I agree. It makes no sense, but. Man, I don't know how long it's been going on like this. I mean, it's not only ticket prices for sports; it's also entertainment in general. I mean, concerts, theater, everything. The ticket prices here are out of hand.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm the kind of guy if the weather is crappy outside, forget about it. I'm staying in all day. Like if a little bit of rain, no, forget it. So I'm not criticizing anybody who would decide to just watch that game at home. I will say though, the overreaction in Madrid to the snow is hilarious as a Canadian.
Yo, that was funny. I saw that. What happened? They didn't show up for training or something, right?
Well, they just canceled training, and my cousin was telling me, who's in Madrid right now, is saying there's a bunch of flights canceled, and I'm in Canada, we grow up with...
You coming from Canada, yeah.
Literally, we dig ourselves out of the snow just to get to school, and school is never canceled. There's 30 centimeters, and all the kids are so pissed. Like, why do we have to go to school? And you know what I think it is? Real Madrid also canceled their training session. I think it's because the city just doesn't prepare for it, right? So, in Canada, we know it's coming. So, you literally have, entire crews dedicated to shoveling, every street in the city. We know we're going to get slammed. I think in Spain, because it's so rare, it's probably just oh my God, 2 centimeters, shut down the city. We don't know what to do.
It's mayhem. No, absolutely. Yeah, that's spot on. As soon as there's a little bit of snow or hail or ice on the road, it's absolute mayhem. It's, front page news and news outlets talk about it. They have reporters on site. There's caravanas, there's traffic jams for kilometers without end, and that is true, my friend.
I'm supposed to be there in 3 days.
What? You're coming back, dude?
If my flight gets canceled, I will not be happy. Yeah.
What do you do? Wait, this is breaking news over here.
No,
what are you coming back to Spain?
Well, it's for 4 days only. Just going to be at Sociedad against PSG, which may or may not be a terrible idea. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Nice one. By the way, listen, before we kick off, I want to ask you, and I don't know if I'm going off topic here, but I saw your tweet about the 4-hour work week. Now, my sister gave me that book years ago, and I started it, and I got caught up into the corporate system and then kind of forgot about it. And now that I'm a freelancer again, and I'm very intrigued and curious what you, because I'm a big fan of that pod as well, and I'm curious what he had to say about it and your thoughts on that.
It's an amazing book. I don't think anyone should read it. I think it's very niche. It's geared towards people who have a business and they're doing everything themselves, right? So let's say if you own a coffee shop or you own a store or whatever, and you're there all day, you're lifting boxes, you're doing the accounting, you're doing payroll, you're hiring, you're scheduling, you're training, you're shopping, and it's a nightmare. It's literally the worst place to be in the world. And because even the most successful person financially in that situation is not enjoying their life, right? What is the point of business if you can't actually enjoy the freedom that it should allow you? So the whole point of the book is how to streamline it, and basically the importance of, if you don't actually have a business that runs on its own, you don't have a business. You're just an employee, and you're the worst kind of employee because you're working for yourself, and you have to learn to trust people, you have to learn to empower people. And this is a universal thing. The most successful people in the world who have their businesses, their businesses delegate, and the business is not reliant on them. So which allows them to work from anywhere in the world. And again, I think one of the important things is the point isn't to set your business up this way and remain idle and do nothing and just sit on a yacht. I think the point is you allow yourself freedom to do what you love. So in my case, it was being a full-time journalist, so my business runs in the background. Or for someone else, it might be serving in doing charity work and being a philanthropist. For someone else, it might be to visit or travel or certain places. Anyway, so that's but I think it's more geared towards business owners than anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, interesting stuff. I'm going to have read and a listen to that pod as well.
A lot of drama this weekend in La Liga. Where do we start? Do we start in the Catalan derby? Really nasty that whole thing, everything that was happening today.
Yeah, I was telling one of our Churros y Tácticas loyal listeners, David Garrido, that I'm just happy that it's over with, to be honest. I'm happy that this trilogy is over with. It was getting ugly. Not a lot of football, a lot of rain. I mean, did you see that pitch? They need to.
Yeah, it was like a different sport altogether. You couldn't play. I think Valverde after the game he said that they were forced to play long balls because they just had no choice because there would be back passes. You try to keep possession, the ball would go 2 feet and it would stop.
Yeah. And still, despite all that, Iniesta is able to shine. Pretty amazing, But yeah, look, it was ugly, man, and it was ugly in all sense. In all sense, not only the sport of football itself, but the surrounding spectacles with the periquitos shouting obscenities towards Piqué and his wife and his kids. And I was happy for Piqué that he managed to get a goal in, and which he seems to do quite regularly against Espanyol. Started to become a bit of a trend.
I think is it just me or does anyone who boo him they get scored on?
They get scored on.
Just don't boo him for that reason.
yeah, or do in my case. But and then look, he pues mira, aquí se dice, here they say, entonces pues mandó el estadio a callar, which translates to he silenced the crowd. He silenced the Cornellà crowd. Just put a finger to his mouth and said shh, which one of your all-time favorites, I'm sure, was famous for as well. Raúl doing that at the Camp Nou, and I don't really remember. He's the original
gangster. He's the one that set
the OG.
Trend. Yeah, OG.
And I love that kind of stuff. I think
Tebas didn't like it, by the way.
Tebas didn't like it. Read his little statement saying that he should be punished for that, and I find that unbelievable. Yeah, one thing is putting up the middle fingers or doing the butifarra, which is
I don't know
if you can hear me.
I can hear something. I'm worried to know what it is you're doing. I don't know.
Butifarra is when you hit your sleeve, say up with your arm. I don't know what the English word is. Oh my gosh, it's like when you do. Like your arm in your other.
Are you talking about a salute? Are you talking about a dab? Are you dabbing?
No, it's not a dab. It's it's not the middle finger, but it's also.
Okay, so it's a gesture, provocative gesture.
Yes, it's a provocative gesture where you kind of you're like up yours to the crowd.
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, of course.
You know that one, like what Giovanni did in the Bernabeu.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
That moment makes my blood boil every time I think about it.
Right. Well, those kind of gestures, I think, sobran. It's too much. You obviously don't want people like Carvajal putting up a middle finger, or Pepe, or Jordi Alba for that matter. You don't want to see that kind of stuff. But,
no, I like when Pepe showing did it. That was pretty cool.
But showing your shirt like Piqué or Luis Enrique does when he scores at the Bernabeu, or putting your finger to your mouth, or even like Ronaldo doing the calma, that gesture. Look, fair game, man. I mean, that's rivalry. That's this sport, and that engages the players with the fans, and I like to see that. I don't think that the right response for the audience members is then to start throwing stuff, of course, or to shout obscenities. But surely some retaliation can be expected in a clever, smart sort of way, right? And I think that's fair game. Obviously, there's a lot of passion involved. There's a lot of heated moments where things go overboard because of all the history and the bad blood between the two clubs, in this case, Barça and Espanyol. But listen, 1-1. Everybody's talking about Piqué, even Tebas, and it doesn't change anything. Barça still top of the La Liga table. Espanyol somewhere down at the bottom, mid-bottom table. What are they going to do? They, in all fairness, they put up a good game. If we're going to talk about the sport itself, football, they put up a good game. They managed to, beat us once, lose once, but at the Cornellà, we didn't manage to beat them over this trilogy. So, fair game to them. What I will say, and I'll finish with that, Kiyan, Sergio Garcia, también sobra. All that crap that came out of his mouth at the end of the match, there should be no place for that in football, sport, or in the world in general. And I wish Tebas would have said something about that instead.
You're 100% right. There's no question. What Tebas, he actually said that Pique's gesture was provocative, didn't he?
And that he should be punished.
I would be so embarrassed of being a La Liga fan if that happened. I would be embarrassed. It's ridiculous. It's petty. And look, I'm a Madridista. Tebas being so open about being a Madridista is a problem, especially in these cases.
Yeah. And
you can't even entertain such ideas. Look, I'll tell you how much this doesn't make sense to me, because I'm the type of person, like when Vigo was getting blasted in the Camp Nou, I thought it was outrageous that anybody, and I think who was the Barcelona president at that time? Do you remember?
Gaspar, of course.
Was it Gaspar that said that Vigo was being provocative?
Someone
was saying. I don't know if it was, maybe it was Xavi, maybe it was, but
it was Gaspar for sure. He's the biggest anti-Madridista president that has ever.
And that to me wasn't provocative. The guy was getting blasted, and for sure, if that wasn't provocative, there's no question Piqué wasn't being provocative at all. It's a celebration. I think players should be allowed to express themselves within reason when they score. Because it's an amazing feeling, and if I was in the position of that, I would absolutely be doing the shush celebration that Raul did, that Piqué did, that the calma that Ronaldo did. No difference. Not to dwell on the subject too much, because you already talked about it.
Or Messi's taking off the shirt for that matter.
Or Ronaldo taking off the shirt in response.
Copying now. No copying.
No, but the point is that these are the moments we remember as fans, right? These are the moments that these players tell their grandchildren, Messi took off his shirt, and guess what? I did the same thing in the Camp Nou in response, and it was fun. And these guys are friends off the pitch. They don't even forget that part, by the way.
Yeah. Friends. They're friendly off the pitch.
They're friendly. Yeah, it's all good. My point is, it's not on the level of Sergio Garcia being a complete idiot.
No.
That is completely different level of disrespect, and what they said towards Piqué and his family, that's complete different level of disrespect. And Tebas just needs to get his priorities in order in dealing with the correct stuff. And racism and abuse like that are absolutely intolerable.
Agreed.
Okay.
Anything you took out of the match itself? Like I said, I thought Espanyol's game plan was correct in that sense.
They defended well. I felt like for long periods, especially to start the game, at no point did I feel like they were going to score. But that they kind of started counterattacking a little bit better.
The same in the Copa del Rey, though,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in the Copa del Rey, you didn't rest anyone, though, right? So today, this game, you're resting Messi, didn't start Rakitic, Alba, Sergio Roberto. Some football things that I would take away is that, one, Leo Baptistao, to me, who hasn't had a good season in La Liga, actually really stood out for Espanyol in this game. He worked really hard, pressured Barca, hounded. And I think as the game went on, Gerard Moreno became more involved in the play. He was less isolated as the game went on. Espanyol, I think, got a little bit more confidence going forward. And a couple of quick notes. One, Coutinho actually played on the left this time, and he had that one cut in and hit the bar. So.
Yeah. By the way, side note here, that was in the 21st minute. The last time Coutinho scored in El Cornellà, he was wearing an Espanyol jersey, was in the 21st minute as well. The same minute, of course, when the Cornellà faithful give that terrific tribute to Dani Jarque in every match. So while that was happening, and the radio pundits were remembering that, all of a sudden, who flies out from the left into the midfield and rips a belter is Coutinho hitting the crossbar. Imagine if that would have gone in. That would have been quite an interesting little sub-story.
Genuine question. I honestly don't know the answer to this. have Espanyol conceded in the 21st minute during those tributes ever?
Oh, that's something to look up. I wouldn't know neither.
I guess I'm mostly... It would be kind of awkward, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Luis Suarez, by the way, just looks like a different animal when he's in form.
Listen, man, it's I think a lot has to do. I've been kind of trying to analyze this, and ever since Valverde switched to the 4-4-2 system, you know, Luis Suarez has been looking like a different animal, looking like, feeling more, you know, in his realm, at home, in his position, in the right position. And I know that previously on this pod and on D-Spot, I often said, you know, wait for Luis Suarez, it's his kist in his knee, and just give him a bit more time. But I'm thinking now that perhaps it's tactical as well. You know, the fact that he doesn't have a Neymar on one side, and he would have, you know, whoever it was that was trying to replace Neymar during that time. While Valverde was experimenting with the 4-4-3, I think perhaps it's down to the 4-4-2 formation that is allowing Luis Suarez really to be back, being the pistolero that we know him as.
So Barca remain undefeated thanks to that Pique late goal.
Record breaking now.
Is it for Barca or for
Barca,
La Liga?
Yeah. Well, no, Valverde now is a more successful record than Pep and Guardiola.
I remember so many people were saying, you know, one of the reasons, like earlier on in the season, I had people in my mentions saying, this is embarrassing. This is the worst Barca team in their history, and this is Real Madrid's like best, and we're so far behind. I'm not even sure if that's true anymore. Where does this Barcelona team rank? Honestly, honest question. We can't say it's luck. We can't say it's it's dangerous to say that they're better without Neymar. But I think what you could say, and the most underrated thing in all this, has been Valverde's, like, continually. He's been amazing.
Yeah.
He's been a massive upgrade over Luis Enrique. Tactically, morally, like in the morale, he's more closer to the players. Tactically, he's way more astute.
It's I don't know where you rank this team. It's way too early for that as well. They first need to surpass Luis Enrique's Barca, for that matter, who won many trophies. But
it's just the eye test looks better. That's all. I mean, it just looks better.
Yeah,
it's more cohesive. It's more functional.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But you know what scares me all this is that right now Valverde has to go back to the drawing board. Valverde now is back in preseason, trying to figure out how to, incorporate two megastars or potential megastars in Dembélé and Coutinho, and that is really what makes me quite nervous. It's a luxury problem, of course, but a problem nonetheless. And he's been so faithful and so successful with his 4-4-2 formation, like we just discussed. Luis Suarez being back to his old self, etc. Are you now going to mess it up? Are you going to, the doble pivote, the double pivot in Busquets and Rakitic? Are you going to bench Rakitic to allow Coutinho to play alongside of Iniesta in a 4-3-3? I mean, well, I don't know.
If there's anything that eases that transition, it's the fact that La Liga is already over, and Coutinho can't play in the Champions League anyway, right? So he's not going to mess with anything there. Not that he necessarily would, but Valverde basically can use the entire rest of the league season to experiment how to figure out how Coutinho will work for next season.
Yeah, I guess, but my worry with that is that you're not really giving continuation then. I mean, is he going to have a different team out at every match, the Champions League as well? I mean, it's, I don't know. Everything has just gone so unexpectedly well that I hope it's not now going to go all tits up because shit, all of a sudden Valverde is like, crap, and now I have to incorporate these two guys. What am I going to do?
Well, how much you have so much margin of error. What's your worst case scenario right now? Atletico somehow creep back. Creep back. Valencia make a huge comeback, and Chelsea steps up another gear that they've just been bad this season. But
yeah.
Well, knock on wood.
You bastard.
One can dream. Okay. We should, before we move on, we should talk about Pique's injury, because you did a video on this. I didn't get a chance to watch it. How does this affect Barca for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, I was saying in the video that it's the most excited potentially I've ever been on about an injury, just because I'm so curious to see Yerry Mina start. I want to see this dancing cumbia colombiano star make his mark, or set his mark in the central defensive Barca system, and see if he fits, see if he can figure it out. So much talk around him coming, of course, for quite a long time. I think it's been 2-3 years in the making or something, and I want to see if he fits, man. And I have full faith in Vermaelen as well. Umtiti won't be playing this weekend, so we'll see.
So this is my question. I'm kind of I'm surprised you're a bit excited about this. Excited, I think it's interesting to see Yerry Mina finally. Like we've heard, I've never seen him play apart from just YouTube, and also just hearing that he's a great young talent. But you, in the next couple of weeks, you have away to Valencia, which Umtiti can play that game, right? Is he suspended for that one, or is it the La Liga? Okay.
No.
So, he's suspended for the game against Getafe, is that correct?
Yeah.
So in that game, you won't have Pique, you won't have Umtiti, and you won't have Vermaelen. So you only have Yerry Mina.
Wait, Vermaelen should be back by then, no?
Okay, that changes things.
I was counting on Vermaelen being back.
Okay.
I didn't hear
that changes things. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's keep an eye on it. And we do have one more podcast before your Chelsea game, so that'll be we'll set that one up nicely.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have anything you'd like to ask me about Real Madrid's fantastic weekend?
Just I don't know, man. How does it feel? I guess. What do you? I mean, do you really expect this team to beat PSG? Or I understand what the press is doing, and they're trying to kind of mask all the disasters that are happening in La Liga. And I get as well that players are probably less motivated to give it their all, and a goal creeps in the 89th minute, and Ronaldo gets substituted. He does his little antics with the camera. I get that there's just not a good atmosphere right now, but do you really see them capable of beating PSG is my biggest question, I guess.
Capable, yes. You need some drastic tactical turnarounds. You need some drastic mental turnarounds. You need to be drastically more efficient. You need to be drastically better defending counterattacks. You need to be drastically better playing your way out of a press. You need to be drastically better in your press. You need to be able to retain the ball better. And there's a million other things that Real Madrid just needs to improve on in this game. And the fact that so many of these players, if you look at it, Diego, this is the only thing we have left to play for this season, right? Apart from the fact that we obviously have to stay in the top 4 for the rest of the season in La Liga. In terms of the game that Madridistas will be up for and really looking forward to, and the whole world will be watching, is basically, it starts on Valentine's Day against PSG.
Yep.
And the players are talking about it in the post-game press conferences, saying, you know what, we are still Real Madrid. We're not afraid of anyone. We have a big game against PSG that we're confident in. And hearing them speak of it this way, it's if they don't get up for it, then it's embarrassing, because this is all you have to play for, and you have a bunch of legendary players in the squad. They know what it takes. They've been in terrible situations, and they've been able to raise their game. And this is it. This is their chance. This is the only way I can talk myself into this even being a possibility.
But that's my point, Kiyan, is that you need to you're convincing yourself of this. But the way I see it,
I'm not even convincing myself. This is the only way I can. Yeah.
But I mean, it's also we talk a lot about this podcast about on this podcast about kind of what's the word? Momentum, right? That's the word I was looking for. Momentum. Madrid has does not have that on their side at the moment. I mean, week in and week out, they have to deal with disappointments. Let alone, of course, the match against Depor, the off matches where they score a whole bunch of goals and the press is like, they're back. Let's face. We can't wait to face PSG.
Yeah.
But the reality is that things are not going well, and there's a lot of issues behind the scenes that they must be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of, you go into work with a long face because you look at the Liga standings and you're struggling for fourth position. You look at the Copa del Rey, you're not even there anymore. With that, having that sort of momentum and bringing that into a game, such a massive tie against a club that is so hungry, you talk about players that want to win and that have the potential to win. It's PSG. There's no doubt about it. It's almost now or never, I would say. I mean, okay, that's way too drastic to say, but they certainly have their eyes set on that prize, a prize that Madrid has been winning 2 years consecutively, 3 in the last 4. There comes a time when your belly is full and you're kind of, without maybe even willing, unconsciously, you're like, that's it. I don't know. Just the shoulders are dropped and you don't have the momentum on your side. And I'm just wondering, really, because here in Barcelona, they still see Madrid beating PSG. All my culé friends are like, no, Real Madrid is going to beat PSG.
No,
for
but
sure.
that is complete jinxing. Like I would say the same thing about Chelsea and Barca, because that's you going in and expecting the worst outcome, which is your rival winning and turning around the season and winning, the European title. And everyone's saying, Real Madrid still plays shitty, but they're still European DNA. And that would probably sting for Barca fans, I'm assuming.
Oh, it would be awful.
If they actually pulled that off, right? Which
Absolutely.
is probably not going to happen anyway. But look, you're bang on. I think sometimes no matter how much you talk yourself into getting up for a big game, if things just aren't flowing, it's just not going to work. And the problem is, I think, and Ramos said it after the Levante game, who had a pretty bad game, by the way. And someone asked him, what's the solution? And he said, if we knew, we would have solved it by now.
Well, yeah, obviously, of course. Yeah.
And so it's one thing to go into PSG and flip a switch, but it's another thing going into PSG and not knowing which switch to flip.
I love that. That's a good one. Yeah.
But the flip side. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, that said, referring to what I was saying before, I don't expect them to throw their hands in the air and say, fuck it, forget about it. We have no chance. Of course, I expect Madrid to fight. I just don't think that they can beat PSG. What I'm seeing, and I know everything, I've watched what they've done in the past. I think this year, this team right now is not capable of pulling such an upset. And in my opinion, it will be an upset if they do.
It would be an upset.
If they win.
And your point is 100% true that Real Madrid will be looking forward to this game and marking on their calendar. But guess what? PSG has been marking on their calendar. It's what they have looked forward to. It's not, with all due respect to League One, PSG will not have that on their conscience as much as Europe, especially after last year's failure. They have this circled and they are
absolutely
revving themselves up. Now, the other thing I haven't mentioned is that, to be honest, PSG, as great as they are and as much as they've been flying this season, they don't get tested often. They got tested against Lyon and lost, albeit Neymar didn't play that game and Mbappe left injured. Yeah. They got tested against Bayern and didn't look good in that game, in the second game. And that was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was after Ancelotti left, so they had the new vision.
It was, yeah.
Kurzawa is a huge liability defensively for them on left back, which if a fit Gareth Bale can play, then that is something we can potentially exploit. Their front three doesn't press that well, although they're all amazing attacking players. Again, these are things that you just cling to, though. They're not things that you can kind of predict the game on. It's just something that I'm sure, I hope that Zidane will be mentioning.
Yeah. No, and look, overconfidence is definitely a factor and could be an issue. The fact that Neymar has been partying it up for the past week or so, celebrating his 26th birthday and missing matches left and right, that can't be good. That not only for him personally. I mean, being maybe a bit too relaxed or out of shape, but for the team. The team must be looking at this kid going, dude, what the fuck?
Well,
like, what are you doing?
Maybe being an underdog helps in the situation then for Real Madrid.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
The other thing I do like about this, Diego, is the fact that we play the second leg away from home and not at home. Because
that's interesting.
You know why? It's because if the second leg was at home, the amount of pressure from the fans, and if things don't start not going our way, we'll start getting restless. The fans will start whining and moaning, and the players will get affected. If it's away from home, this is why historically, like Bale, Ronaldo, Benzema, these guys play better when it's not the Bernabeu, because there's no pressure and they thrive on, just if people
they can't deal with the pressure.
Well, that's not what I said.
Can't deal with the pressure, Captain.
That's not what I was implying. But you know what I mean, though, right? Like,
yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Should we take questions?
Yes.
Okay. Patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas. That's where you go if you'd like to support us and or get guaranteed responses to your questions. So please consider supporting us through Patreon. Patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas. First Patreon question.
By the way,
go ahead.
Patreon donations, I promise I'll work on my accents as well. I'm much better than what I'm doing right now. I tried to do a Canadian accent earlier on. You didn't even pick up on that. And my Scottish accent right now is garbage.
When did you do the Canadian one? The Scottish one was okay. What was the Canadian one?
No, I can't deal with the pressure. I'm better than that. Trust me. The Canadian one I was trying to read out, or I was quoting your tweet about the Camp Nou. I even gave it a little A at the end, but you didn't pick up on it. It was that bad. Yeah, that was. It's all right.
Well, yeah. I think it's because you need to verbalize it and actually say it. But to read it, it's like anyone in the world can say it, I guess.
All right.
Anyways, so I guess if you're interested in funding Diego's accent and trying to improve his accent or whatever and impressions, go for it. But if you want to also just support us for other reasons like analyzing the game and talking about Spanish football, that is also acceptable. Christopher Alex says we talked about this but another match and another comeback from behind for Barca. How do you feel, Diego?
Yeah, man, it's that's true. A lot of remontadas successively. How do I feel? I feel good. I feel that this team doesn't know the meaning of the word giving up, and I like it. They're showing a lot of attitude, a lot of spirit, exactly what is needed to bring home silverware. So
you kind of have what we had last season.
Yeah, exactly.
Where everybody expects you guys to come back.
To tumble, or to come back,
Ivan Garcia, another patron, says, there are 2 players from Celta among the top 5 scorers in La Liga. I think that's quite an achievement. Do you think Celta will finally qualify for the Europa League?
Well,
they were there last year.
Man. Yeah. They were there last year, but I mean the team has changed so much under Unthue. Him bringing in, let's not forget neither. He was, mentioned for the Barca job as well. So I'm happy for him that he's successful, that he's managing to implement his philosophy in Celta. Don't forget neither that Unthue started out as a manager, a coach for goalkeepers. So he's come a very long way, and I hope that they will make it in the Europa spots. Yeah.
Well, they're 8th now, 1 point back. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So 5 and 6 get the Europa League slots, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Villarreal is pretty much, to me, is locked it down. So it remains one spot between Sevilla, Eibar, and Celta, and Celta is 2 points back of Sevilla for 6th. I guess it all depends on how much Sevilla continue to free fall. They won a couple of games in a row, were impressive. We thought, maybe that this Montella has a chance to turn this around. They completely laid multiple eggs against Eibar this weekend. and I don't know. It's hard to read. And Eibar is surging. I saw an interesting stat.
Eibar is amazing.
Okay. Diego. Paul Rady tweeted it on Twitter. I think it was a screenshot from the Marca newspaper, but it was if you made a league table since match day 11.
Yeah.
Barca would be first. Eibar would be second.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
They're great. I mean, it's a great city as well. They're very hardworking, people that when you picture Spain, you certainly won't think of Eibar immediately. But they're great people. I'm very happy for that little city. I mean, thumping Sevilla 5-1 over the weekend. Absolutely incredible.
Amazing.
So, yeah. The
yeah.
smallest stadium in Spain, if I'm not mistaken.
Smallest stadium, and they still can't really fill it, right? There's just.
I'll tell you those ticket prices, man.
Yeah, it seemed like it would be so cool to go to an Eibar game, but if they can't, if it has to do with ticket prices, it just feels weird again that's an issue. Just lower it.
Yeah.
Another question from Ivan. He has a second part to this question. He says, and here's one of my typical questions. So Ivan actually usually asks questions that are kind of fun. So last week, Ivan. What did he ask us last week? It was a fun question. I'm drawing a blank, but it was so fun that obviously it's stuck in my mind.
You forgot.
Yeah. He says, what are your favorite La Liga jerseys of this season? In recent years, history, whatever you want.
So this and past years, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. This year I'll go with maybe Girona, just because they're doing great, and
that has nothing to do with jersey, though. What do you?
I know
that can't be.
I don't know. I'm not a huge backer of jerseys. We've talked about it off air a little bit, but I'm not really into modern day jerseys very much.
Yeah.
So I'm saying Girona because I'm happy that they're doing good, but I don't know. I don't know if there's a single La Liga jersey I like this season. Maybe I don't know. I don't like Valencia's. Historically has been okay. It's kind of sharp. Yes, right.
They have like the black patch on the shoulders. I think there's a couple teams that kept it really classic this season, like no obtrusive like logos, advertisements, and very clean, like one color. Like Sevilla kept it that way. Betis also interesting. Like the two Seville teams have like a very classic look to their jersey.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the intrusiveness of the sponsors on Atleti, on Sociedad, and a bunch of other teams, quite frankly, just kind of ruins it for me. I don't like the teal on Real Madrid's jerseys this year at all.
I mean, and then the odd thing is then you see, clubs that don't have a sponsor, which also kind of makes alarm bells ring in my head, because that's not a good sign neither. So, yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I can't really put my answer wholeheartedly on one jersey for this year's jersey, that is, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to past jerseys, and sorry here for being perhaps very biased on my answer, but the 1999-2000 Barca jersey, that commemorative jersey for 100 years of the club, for me is a standout. I love that one.
Let me Google it. For me, my two favorite Real Madrid kits ever. One was the centenary one.
This is it, the Centenario for the Barca one.
Yeah. So also the Centenario one for Real Madrid was complete, no sponsored, clean, funky lettering on the back, but it was really nice. And then I think 2 seasons before that, we might have even carried it over to the next season, but 2 seasons before that was the year we won La Novena, and we had the black long sleeve with the gold trim, or it was like more of a yellow trim. I don't know if it was a nostalgia thing, but that year we looked really good and put in historically great performances against Manchester United, and then we beat Valencia in the Champions League final 3-0. That really stuck out to me as one that I love.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I don't know. Oh, so the Barca Centenario ones are the ones where it was half blue, half red, right? It wasn't striped. Yeah. Let's take some questions on Twitter before we wrap it up. Well, let's do these ones quickly.
Yep.
Christopher McCormick says, the Messi goals and assists account for half of Barcelona league goals this season. Is that dependency on him worrying?
Yeah, man, I would say it's not necessarily for Barca, but maybe for La Liga it's worrying. You know, where are all the other players? Where are all the other stars at? For me, you know, it's a good thing. And when we talk about Messi dependency every single year, it's an old conversation for me. For me, I hope this lasts as long as possible.
Do you think it went to another level this year, though?
Yeah. I mean, he's hit the crossbar also a ridiculous amount of times. Imagine if all of those have actually gone in. It's definitely reached another level.
It'd be interesting if you took out
Messi's hungry, man.
If you took out Messi from Real Madrid this year and took out if you took out Messi from Barcelona this season.
Before you slipped that, you wish.
That was a really
wish, buddy.
Shoot. I'm embarrassed. So if you took out Messi out of Barca this season and you took Ronaldo out of Real Madrid, I don't know if Real Madrid's place would be any different in the table, and Barcelona's would be drastically different.
It would be drastically different, yeah. For sure.
Quick one here, I think. Hala Madrid on Twitter says, what are the chances of Sergio Roberto and Nacho going to Russia? These guys are so underrated.
Yeah,
Isn't it just 100% they're going, right? They got to go.
They have to go. Nachito has been so impressive this season. I have I'm increasingly growing a weak spot for him week in, week out. And I mean, Sergio Roberto is un crack, una máquina. He's awesome. Regardless if he plays as a lateral on the flank or in the mid, he must be included, surely.
A guy with the username Bring Ancelotti Back Please on Twitter says, what are Sevilla's chances of beating Manchester United?
Oh my God. None right now, dude. I'm sorry. I hate to say, you know, another weak spot for me is Sevilla, given my grandfather's my heritage. My grandfather was originally from there. He originally supported Sevilla, and I therefore kind of, you know, half-heartedly support them. But they don't stand a chance, man. Not in the form that they are at now. So, you know, they might grind out a semi-good result at home, possibly a tie, but, I mean, Mourinho you would just expect Man U to go through at this point.
Would you say out of the Spanish teams left, they're the least favorite of their matchups?
Yeah.
Or would you say Real Madrid is
more? No.
Sevilla?
Yeah, of course.
Man, yeah, I completely agree. I would say that if Sevilla show up the way they did against Atleti in the Copa, the Sanchez Pizjuan on a big night can be a very intimidating place to play.
For sure, but not for Mourinho.
No,
he'll just be so comfortable sitting back and. I just think if they're gonna win it, it has to be. They really have to take advantage of the Pizjuan because they play the second leg away from home, right? Yeah. It's gonna be really tough for them. At Ant Lombardi 7 says, who are the best young Spanish talents in La Liga? I think it's generally impossible to do this without missing players. Yeah, as always. My best bet is I can just go down the La Liga table and look at the teams and just quickly take out the promising young Spanish players. Mm-hmm. Sergio Roberto, obviously. Do we even consider him young anymore? How old is he? Yeah, he's still young.
He's still young. He is... he's
20.
Oh, he's 25. No, we can't count him. He's 25. Oh. Can you believe that? That flew by.
I can't. He's baby face still, yeah.
Lucas Hernandez. Phenomenal. Just really impressed with him at Atleti. Yeah. Valencia, obviously, with Carlos Soler, he has a really, really bright future. Samu Castillejo, really rounding into form also. Ivan Alejo at Eibar, 22, and he looks better every game. He's a huge part of the surge that Eibar are going through.
Calavera there is pretty good.
Yeah,
Jordi.
yes. And then Celta, I guess Johnny is a really promising left back who will probably be a feature in the Spanish national team moving forward. Solid part of the under-21 team. Fabian at Betis, obviously, really helping them transition from the post-Ceballos era. And obviously, like Ceballos himself, him, Llorente, and Vallejo, even though they haven't been playing much this season, are still really promising. We can't forget that. Bilbao has a bunch. Muniain is a bit older now, but players like Iñaki still really young.
Iñaki, is he still young? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He's still pretty young. And Unai, Geray, these guys really solid defenders. Kepa.
Yeah, of course.
Sociedad has Oyarzabal and Odriozola, both with bright futures. Yeah, I think. I'm sure we missed a bunch, to be honest, but off the top of my head.
I mean, these kind of questions, we should maybe address them earlier on because, yeah, it's easy to go into long detail. And like you said, I mean, going through every team, you could pick out 2-3 players and talk about those. But
yeah. This is true.
I think you did a good one.
Thanks,
good
buddy.
Job.
I probably did miss some key players. Last question. Interesting, because we were talking about this guy like 2 podcasts ago or something. And he's back into our life, just like that. Ian Victor on Twitter says, thoughts on Seedorf's appointment as Depor manager? We discussed Seedorf. Seedorf came up when we were talking about our favorite Dutch players of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no way to analyze this. It's just such an unknown for me. Seedorf as a Depor manager. Like, it's no idea.
Seedorf as a manager, not that it's unknown, it just hasn't been very successful. Failed at Milan, failed in China at, what was it called? Shenzhen. Then was supposed to go to Brazil.
Forgot he managed Milan. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. But, I mean, it hasn't been a big success. I am super happy because I love Seedorf. And I hope he's very successful because the Dutch national team needs him. So that's why I wish him the utmost best. I'm very curious to see where this will take Deportivo, hopefully out of relegation, because it'll hopefully mean that he will have had some influence, and he'll continue his career as a future manager. So I'm excited, and I wish him nothing but the best.
I suppose we don't know how this will turn out, but if you're a Depor fan, you're looking at this and be like, well, it can't get worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Even after Pepe Mel left, Cristobal just couldn't steady the ship. They got blown away in a couple weeks in a row, and
5-0 over the weekend. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a disaster there. I don't know. I think we can say this about Seedorf. As a player, he was a brainiac, right? He was really smart as a player, just like positionally, tactically. So it's not like he comes into this. I know he's not an experienced manager, but at least he comes into this with a brilliant football mind, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have time for rapid fire today, do we? Probably not.
No.
No, I'm so glad we recorded this on Tuesday, so that important Las Palmas. It was boring, by the way. It wasn't a good game. Both Las Palmas and Malaga just... I guess we can just quickly say before we let you go, I think the other biggest event, apart from Eibar blowing away Sevilla, was Atletico Valencia, which was also crazy boring. Griezmann getting into it with the fans because of the counterattack.
Yeah. So
burning bridges, Antoine.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I want him at Barca, to be honest.
Yeah? Okay. Well, that's a different discussion. I'm surprised that so many Real Madrid fans want him. I have my own opinion about this, but it's a bigger discussion. Diego Lorijn, thank you.
Yes, sir. By the way, quick little self-promo here.
Of course.
Check out D-Spot on YouTube, youtube.com/C/D-Spot, D for Diego Spots. The reason I'm announcing this is because my channel is newly branded, new logo, new trailer, new little jingle. It is sick. It is awesome. Go check it out. I'm super excited.
I love the intro of the Barcelona
Did you see
map.
it?
Yeah. Did you make that yourself?
Yeah. No. So the jingle one of my good friends made, who's an awesome music producer. The logo was done by one of my best friend, who's a graphic designer, and that actual the visual trailer was done. I had it done on Fiverr.
So Fiverr works, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and shout out to the guy on
on your
Fiverr.
rebrand.
I think he was a guy in Pakistan. Don't know his name or much about him, but shout out to that guy too, for sure.
Shout out to that guy. Okay, well, I'm excited for your rebrand, and
yes,
hope that your relaunch goes well. I'm sure it will. And Diego, Lorijn, as always, thank you for joining me. We will chat next week.
Sounds good, Kiyan. Thanks, man.